People always root for the people that don't need rooting for. So if you're someone right now, and you're working hard and you're consistent, you're going to the gym, you're eating clean, you're working every day, you're doing everything you're supposed to, but you've got no results to show for it. Yeah, because it's delayed gratification. These will come, but the key is time. So in that period where you're not getting the reward, the recognition you deserve, those are the years that will shape your future. And for me, this show is a testament of that. Everything that I've achieved in my life is because of curiosity. My life was supposed to be a 9-to-5 dentist. Curiosity is what took me away from that. Curiosity is what took me into trading. Curiosity is what took me into building the network I had before social media, which was a big one. That leads to not only great learning opportunities for me, but great conversations. And people love it when you can have a great conversation, talk at depth. No one likes the gossip talk. People want to talk about what they're doing, the challenges they're facing, and learning from each other, and that's all I do. And when you can introduce people that can help each other, learn from each other, and you're the facilitator, wow, what a feeling. There's so many lessons in what I'm just saying in terms of paying your dues and then getting the reward, betting on yourself, how doors can unlock in crazy ways when you just put your head down and work, and how life comes at you in crazy ways, how your expectations can be blown and things go faster than you'd ever imagine. It's exciting, and I want all of you to feel this one day. The goal of the show is for you to have education for free, because it's hard to find a good trading education. So each page of this document is someone's story, someone's life, and someone's lesson of what it took for them to reach the success that they got. So in no particular order, let's get started. First of all, the key lesson from... Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode. Well, a special one that we have, celebrating 1 year of Titans of Tomorrow. Look, I've got a lot of things to cover. I want to go through a PDF that I'm going to share with all of you guys, and it is 50 pages. And the 50 pages represent this year. We're summarizing this year, the 50 lessons from 50 guests after reaching 50,000 subscribers. So I've had a lot of conversations on the show, and I've met some insane people. I've met some of the biggest traders in the world. I've met some of the most successful traders in the world, people that have made more than $1 million from prop firms, people that have made tens of millions of dollars from the markets without prop firms, people that have scaled businesses to 10 million, 100 million, even had a billionaire, people worth $500 million plus. I've had Forbes 30 under 30 people, a world record holder and CEO and entrepreneur of the year in Dubai, reality TV stars, property moguls, people in the real estate industry. It's crazy to see the collaborations that we've had on a baby show, on a brand new show. And also in terms of the traders, man, we've had not only some of the most successful traders, the variety and depth of knowledge of the traders, where we've had ICT and SMC traders, fundamental traders, higher time frame traders, swing traders, scalpers, intra-session traders, prop firm traders, prop firm owners, different types of prop firm owners, brokerage owners, different technology providers within the trading space, stock traders, options traders, crypto traders. We've had a full spectrum. And within there has been so many lessons within the trading industry and outside of the trading industry, where we've had business advice, how to scale a personal brand, how to scale a business, having a franchise model. We had Menspire, who've got an international brand with multiple locations. We had Alex Hortez, Forbes 30 under 30, and he was partnered up with celebrities, the biggest celebrities, Lionel Messi, for God's sake, ended up on Forbes. You know, speaking about how these guys that are all regular people started from nothing, have scaled businesses, exited businesses, scaled teams, scaled brands, built personal brands, impacted millions of people, whether that's in physical products and brick and mortar businesses, online businesses, SaaS businesses. So that's that portion. Then we've also had the traders. And the traders, there's a whole variety in there and so much knowledge that there is to digest. And I'm a little bit nervous for this episode because there's so much to cover. There's so much value to give and limited time. So I'm going to be quick. I'm going to be to the point. And I want this video to be something you keep coming back to so that you can keep refreshing yourself on the key lessons. You can take notes today and therefore have actionable things you can take away. And I want to cover not only the key lessons from each guest. What was the key thing that Umar Ashraf said? And he's a $20 million trader from the markets verified. Bernd, the number one FTMO trader, and what his key lessons are. Andrew NFX, more than $1 million. He came on the show, showed me his Rise account, let me refresh it, and showed $300,000 in that wallet. I've had Pasquale, for example, $2.5 million in payouts. Kyle, Jade Cap, more than $1 million in verified payouts from prop firms. We've had the sickest guests. We've had the sickest collaborations. Therefore, we're going to have the best lessons. And you know my style of hosting. I'm not a passive host. Some of you don't like that, but a lot of you really like that is because I don't come in and just say, hey, what's your thoughts on psychology? And then the guy might say, oh, I believe psychology is 90% of trading. I don't go, okay, good to know. I go, why? Why is that? Here's where I agree. Here's where I disagree. Here's my reasons. And then I challenge the guest. And therefore the guest has to give their response, reasoning, justifications of their belief and stand on their belief. And that becomes sometimes debates. Sometimes it becomes heated debates. Sometimes it becomes agreements where we learn from each other. Sometimes it becomes disagreements where we don't see eye to eye and we just, and we leave that experience, we leave that knowledge for you, the audience, to pick what you learn. And some of the debates we've had, let alone the lessons that each person has had in their personal life, their personal struggles, navigating entrepreneurship and trading, and these less trodden paths, these less understood paths, and how they have to deal with multiple jobs, being in debt, how family and friends perceived what they were doing, becoming a trader, and the resistance they faced, being in school and university, having 2 jobs and trying to trade. This is the story, the genesis story of many of the guests. And then scaling that to becoming a full-time trader, scaling that to becoming a wealthy individual, and then scaling beyond that to take their trading profits into a personal account. Let's say if it was prop firms, and then from that personal profit to then other investments, whether that's property, whether that's other brands, whatever it may be. We've learned so much. We've also heard both sides of each debate that happens in the industry, the full spectrum of opinions when it comes to, should you be a swing trader? Should you be a scalper? And everything in between, and the reasons why and the pros and cons. We've had debates on these certain topics, and we've heard everything from people that have experience in swing trading, that have made millions of dollars from swing trading, and people that have made millions of dollars from lower time frame intra-session trading, and the pros and cons of each. The debate of technical analysis versus fundamental analysis. We've had some great traders that are focused on fundamentals. We've had great traders that are focused only on technicals. Where do they see eye to eye? Where do they clash? We've had traders that say technicals is 100% of trading, and then psychology is on top. We've had other traders say technicals is 50%, psychology is 50%. We've had other traders that have said psychology is 90% of trading. And with all these kind of debates, higher time frame, lower time frame, prop firm versus not prop firm, beliefs on risk management. Some people say if you want to be rich, you got to risk more. Other people say, no, you have to be consistent with your risk. Other people say, for example, a big debate I had with a good friend of mine, Umar Ashraf, is he has a compounding risk plan. So as the year goes on, he starts to double down and increase size as the profit buffer increases on his A+ setups. Whereas I had the belief of I like to keep a linear risk. I maintain that, and I like to increase my rate of return, not through increasing risk, but through lowering my win rate and increasing my trade frequency. A cool debate we had. So when I look back at this year and the 50 podcasts we've done, it's been epic. It's been epic. We've got more than 5 million views. And I remember when Riz the reason we started the show, and I got to give the man credit one more time. I've done this on so many podcasts, but I want to do it again because now it's the 1-year anniversary. Riz not only is an epic guy in terms of what he's doing, we've seen how he's grown a show to 200,000 subscribers, the biggest brand in the trading space, had the biggest guests, the most epic roundtables, the most epic debates, and he's built this behemoth resource that every trader looks at, every trader watches and learns from. He's taken it international and he's built this whole brand and empire around it with the day trading show, with the team now, and it's just epic to see. And the work rate that he has, he's always uploading, he's always consistent, whether it's YouTube Shorts, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitter, whether it's a Telegram, whether it's resources, emails, he's doing everything. And he didn't see me as a competitor. He said, Wakari, you should start a podcast. I want you to start a podcast. I think you do really well with the network you have. And he helped me. He encouraged me. He encouraged me to get started. He helped me in the beginnings. He helped me line up guests when I couldn't access certain people. And he's pushed me along the way. And that's epic. That's what a friend is. And now we help each other, we bring each other up, we support each other, we rock with each other's wins. And it's not something you really experience, especially in the trading space where everyone's against each other, where everyone's competing to sell a course, competing to sell a signal service, and everyone's trying to talk smack on each other. Whereas Riz has unified an industry where used to be people that would never speak to each other, used to be people that would throw shade on each other. Now he brought them onto the same platform. And he had discussions with all of them. And then he's done events off the back of it and introduced people to each other. And so many traders that I've met that are now friends of mine, Dan, Kimmel, Andrew, well, I'm not even going to list them, Umar. There's so many people that I've met just because of Riz's legacy and the impact he's had on the space. So for me, when I look back at what he did, it took him 1.5 years to go from 0 to 5K subs. 1.5 years of getting 100 views, 500 views. He paid his dues and then he got rewarded with 100,000 subscribers in like 6 months. So you pay your dues, it takes time, and you don't see anything. You're getting these small wins, but you're not seeing the fruit of your labor. You're just putting in that consistent work. You're growing as an individual, but you haven't achieved anything visible yet, tangible yet. So the people around you, what are they going to think? oh, what is this guy doing? Why is he bothering? It's not really working out. They might talk crap on you. They might make fun of you. They might not understand you. But when you have your winning period and it blows up, that's when everybody's like, hey man, Riz, you're a legend. You're the best. I always knew, and la la la. And I'm sure he has people that back in the day when he was just starting out and he didn't have any results yet, people are now watching and regretful of what they thought of him, regretful of how they judged him, because look what he's done now. And that's every single one of you, and every single one of my previous guests has had that same story, where success is lagging. The results you get are always after a duration of paying your dues without reward. People always root for the winners. People always root for the people that don't need rooting for. They always say, hey man, I always knew you would crush it. I always knew you were destined for greatness. Even me, people text me now from school, university, singing my praises. Hey Wakar, I'm coming to Dubai, let's meet up. But I remember when I first started out trading, and I was in my university accommodation. I had no money and I was up late and I was even posting about it. And I'd hear whispers, I'd hear gossips of people making fun of me. It's the most normal story. And I want every single one of you that hasn't had that exponential period yet to look at this show, to look at Riz, to look at all of the traders that have been on this show that have the same story of nothing for a long time. And then as they say, when it rains, it pours. When you have your winning season, things come faster than you'd ever imagine. They come in ways you would never have expected. They go beyond your expectations. And this show is a testament to that. Now, I didn't have to pay the dues of a year and a half with no traction, even though I was prepared to. And that's because of the people I have around me and the way I set it up. So before I get into the lessons and the key things I want you to take away, I want to go on a little bit of a rewind to talk about what we as a community have done. I remember making videos 1 year ago saying how I want this show to be international, how I want this to be a globally recognized brand, how I want to speak to some of the biggest entrepreneurs, the biggest traders, and we've ticked those boxes off. We've met people I've looked up to. Someone like Umar Ashraf, I remember watching him when I was a university student and almost like a fan. Now he's a very close friend of mine through power of consistency, achieving your goals, power of networking, power of everything that I had done, the steps I'd put in. Life brought me to that situation I never would have expected. Swaggy C, again, another guy that I've been watching for years before I met him. So many of the guests I had on the show, I was watching them first, learning from them first, and then sitting in a room across them, asking them, talking about life, talking about our journeys, and then going for dinners after, building a friendship. And I remember saying, not only do I want to build a brand, I said, this is going to be a selfish thing because I'm going to use the podcast as an opportunity for me to be curious. And I remember Sean Hanif is a great example of this. He is the founder of GenFlow. It's a $100 million brand. He partners up with the biggest influencers. He's partnered up with KSI, Logan Paul, Iman Gaji, Mike Thurston, Ali Abdal. The list goes on. Chris Williamson. He's partnered up with the biggest names that you all know of. And his company is essentially, he's realized these people have a huge audience, but maybe they don't know the most about business. So he partners up with them, helps them build physical products, build a brand, does the app development, does the marketing, does the infrastructure setup, and does partnerships. So he is in touch with the biggest influencers and the most successful people in our generation. And I get to have a conversation with him. And I know how much he charges for his time for just a consulting. And I got to have an hour of his time to ask him questions I wanted to ask from a selfish perspective about the podcast, about growing a brand, about business, about how I can network with these kind of people. And what the great thing is, I learn, I get to meet someone, I get to put out great content that you guys can learn from, and it's just a win-win situation. And now, for example, Sean, the founder of GenFlow, not only is he a young guy, similar background to me, UK Pakistani, not only have I stayed in touch with him, I'm potentially working on a collaboration with him on a certain business that I want to do. That came because of the podcast. And there's so many links that have come from the podcast, so many people that I've met, so many businesses that have come from the podcast for me, which a year ago was just an idea. A year ago was just a vision, like, oh, I'll meet people, I'll network, and I'll get into cool rooms. Now I'm literally in those rooms that I thought about and manifested and beyond my expectations. For example, I had the biggest episode is Urimi. Urimi has now become a good friend of mine. We've traveled together to many countries. We've spent a lot of good memories in Dubai. We've done Umrah together. And for example, Dawah Man, maybe a lot of you don't know, but the Muslims will definitely know. He's one of the biggest speakers about Islamic knowledge for our generation. And I've been watching his YouTube videos for like a decade. And one day I was in the night prayers with Urimi during Ramadan. And at 3-4 a.m. I meet Dawah Man. And he introduces me. And he's like jokingly, hey man, we're going to go for Umrah to Saudi, to Mecca in 3 hours. You want to join? And I said, yeah. And then I'm going to Umrah with a guy I used to watch for a decade. That's one link. And there's been so many serendipitous links that have come from this. For example, now I'm doing like an Avengers Assemble. I'm going to the US and I'm going with some of my Dubai boys. I'm going with Urimi. I'm going with the twin dentists that I've had on the show, which is one of the most underrated episodes. They are some of the most successful guests I've had on the show. They are doing incredible things. They are taking over the UK. They're doing millions of dollars a month A month at a young age, and they went to the same university as me. They are dentists just like me. They are entrepreneurs just like me. And we built such a connection off the back of the show. We had such good energy, so much in common. We didn't really know each other back then, but now we know each other from the show. We built a friendship. We're helping each other out, to the point where not only have my guests have met each other, Yeremi and the twins now hang out outside of me. So I've introduced guests of my show to each other. They've built friendships. And now I'm going to the US with these people. So out of the dozens and dozens of prop firms that exist in the whole space, who can we really trust? Whether they use slippage, whether they use types of drawdown, unrealistic trading conditions, every single prop firm has hidden tricks. So after thorough research and speaking to a lot of traders, Alpha Capital is definitely the best prop firm in the space. So apart from their no commissions, low spread, no slippage, great reputation, never denying a payout, because you are a Titans of Tomorrow viewer, you get a special discount on every evaluation just using the link or using the code TOT for Titans of Tomorrow. This is what life's about, and I wanted this show to be a project to bring value. And I think I've done that. I think we've brought some of the most valuable conversations that exist on the internet. And I'm a big consumer of podcasts. I said this a year ago. I want to start this show because I'm a huge consumer of podcasts. I want to learn more. I have a curious mind. Everything that I've achieved in my life is because of curiosity. I was a dental student. My life was supposed to be a 9-to-5 dentist. Curiosity is what took me away from that. Curiosity is what took me into trading. Curiosity is what took me into building a brand. Curiosity is what took me into building the network I had before social media, which was a big one. And now compounded with social media and the network that has been built because of a show, curiosity has taken me that, because the conversations I have are always curious driven. And then after, when we go for dinners, when we have events, when I do a yacht day and I bring some people that I know, and I always have curiosity at the forefront, that leads to not only great learning opportunities for me, but great conversations. And people love it when you can have a great conversation, talk at depth. No one likes the gossip talk. No one likes the small talk. People want to talk about what they're doing, the challenges they're facing, and learning from each other. And that's all I do. All the dinners I do in Dubai, which is all the time, is always learning and growing from each other. And when you can introduce people that can help each other, learn from each other, and you're the facilitator, wow, what a feeling. And it's just so epic for me that this show has become everything that I thought it would be in just a year. We're going international, we're traveling, we're meeting people, we're building businesses, we're learning from people, we're bringing great content out for you guys, and you guys get to ask questions through me, because I ask you guys, what should I ask these people on Twitter? I ask, hey, I'm going to have this guest on, what do you want to hear from them? And the reason I say all of this, not only because we're celebrating on this episode, we're not the number one, that's Riz, and salute always to Riz, but we are the fastest growing. We've grown so quick, and I don't think any other show, podcast-wise, has grown this quick. Not only am I excited because we're celebrating, I'm excited because I never look back. It's a bad habit I have. I never look back of what I've achieved. I never look back and feel proud of myself. And people tell me, hey man, you should be proud of yourself. Hey, look what you've achieved. I never feel it. I never absorb it, and I never think about it. It's not how my brain is wired. I always look forward. I'm always in FOMO state. I'm always in what I could be doing. I'm always looking at the gap between what I'm doing and what I think my potential is. And that gap is always frustrating me. It's always on my mind, and therefore I'm always actively chasing how I can improve. So I never look back. I'm always head down, step by step, and I'm always focused on the goal. I'm always focused on the vision. So today is the rare occasion where I will stop and I will think, and I'll get in my feels on the things we've done, and it's epic to see. And I am happy. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I took these risks, and I'm glad I took this opportunity, because this podcast was going to be a money drain. I didn't know if it was going to take 2, 3, 5 years for it to pick up. I didn't know. But I hired a team, I got a studio, and I bet on myself. So we have a 50-page document to commemorate 50 lessons from 50 podcasts, and each page of the 50 pages is from one of the guests. So this is a huge, basically, thesis that has taken the key lessons from each guest, each episode, and wrapped up into a page. I don't know if you can see it. But look, I'm going to put this in the description, free for you to all download. And the goal of this show is for you to learn. The goal of this show is for you to have education for free, because it's hard to find good trading education. Second of all, there's no formal qualification. You can't really go to university to be a profitable prop firm trader. So as part of my responsibility that I've put on myself to the industry, I want to make Titans of Tomorrow a resource for you to learn, come every week and learn from the most successful traders in the world, and to basically pick their brain, learn the key lessons from their journey, their come up, their habits, their beliefs, the wisdoms that they have acquired that you can take without the traumas they had to endure. You can start to see exactly their beliefs on certain topics, the reasons they justify it, what it took for them, because maybe you don't have the same relatability to me or the same affinity or the same life as me, but maybe as another guest, your story is very similar to theirs. So you can see exactly what they did and emulate that. So each page of this document is someone's story, someone's life, and someone's lesson of what it took for them to reach the success that they got. And I want this to be a powerful resource. I want this to be like a trading Bible for you, because it's basically an autobiography of 50 lives, of 50 successful individuals, and the key lessons that it took for them to get there. And it's powerful, and it took a long time for me and my team to go through every episode, to pick out each key nugget, and then condense it down into a bite-sized format. It's 50 pages, but this is like a book. And in trading, there's a lot of great books, great authors, but this is unique because this is almost like a book going through 50 minds of this generation, of this industry, of traders that have made it. A lot of them being educators, a lot of them being millionaires from trading, a lot of them having unique perspectives that not many people can have. A lot of them have educated thousands of traders and the lessons they've learned there. Prop firm owners who can see from a macro, brokerage owners who can see from a macro the behaviors of profitable and not profitable traders. There's so much variety of knowledge that is specific to our industry, that is specific to trading, that is specific to someone like you, that this, I hope, can be a way for you to really learn in a unique perspective. It's not like a course. It's not like watching a podcast. It's a book, and it's a Bible, and it's a resource you can use to learn from potentially the best traders of our generation from the social media sphere. So to not bring any disrespect to any of the guests, I can't go through all 50 today. Therefore, I'm just going to pick a handful at random. I want you to know each lesson in here is valuable because we hand-selected them from a 2-hour, 1-hour podcast of each guest. And each guest has something to share. Each guest has some wisdom. So in no particular order, let's get started. First of all, the key lesson from Mark Hutchinson.
You knew when you got into trading that there's an element of gambling to it. It's just that you're on the positive edge versus the negative edge. But people would see it more professional back then. They understood, where now it's almost, how can I gamble and how can I gamify that? And I think that's a terrible attitude that will eventually fall.
Now, Mark Hutchinson is a phenomenal individual, someone that I've been watching for maybe 7 years, and he's helped thousands of traders. He's had his own journey. And what I like about him is his focus on psychology. Of course, technicals is important. I think technicals is imperative, but he understands trading from a perspective that is not the social media guru gimmicks. He has lived it, he's walked it, and he's helped so many others walk it. And his insights were interesting. I found a lot of alignments with his thoughts. But we also had some challenging debates back and forth. And not only was it interesting for me to sit down with someone that I've learned from, that I've followed for years, but also to see his approaches on rewiring your mind, his approaches on behavior, human psychology, and how that is a real thing. Not the gimmicks you hear on social media, not the gimmicks you hear on TikTok of the, the cold showers and the plunges and the meditations and the journaling. The fluff. We're talking about the real stuff in this episode. And one of the quotes that I want to take from this episode was, you knew when you got into trading that there's an element of gambling to it. It's just that you're on the positive edge versus the negative edge. But now people are more focused on how they can gamify trading, which is a terrible attitude that will eventually fail. Now, what I can take away from this is, look, prop firms is a great opportunity. We can take heed of it for sure. And you can gamify the situation because you realize it's not about risk reward on a trade anymore. It's risk reward on your challenge fees versus your payouts. So for example, Pasquale that we had on the show, he spent over $100,000 to make over $2 million in payouts. So he has his risk reward from paying challenge fees versus his payouts. And he gamified the situation. Same for Andrew NFX. He's paid thousands, tens of thousands in challenges, but he's made around $1 million in payouts. Same for Kyle Jadecap. He has done $1 million in payouts. All these people gamify a little bit prop firms. You play the risk reward game, you play the max daily loss game, you float different accounts, you use trade copiers. Even the system that I developed, the revolving door strategy, the golden bullet strategy, where you have a risk management tool that if you can do a 1 to 10 risk reward, you can have a 30% win rate, 20% win rate, and still pass a prop firm challenge with one trade, as long as you have a good risk management strategy that I gave and a good profit tasting system and an average risk reward. So if you can gamify that, if you can gamify the revolving door strategy of prop firms, where even if you have a break-even strategy, you have winning periods and losing periods. At the end of 6 months, you didn't make anything, but you went up and down. So if you can time those winning periods on certain accounts and those losing periods on other accounts, those losing periods on those accounts, throw those accounts away. And those winning periods, you can take a payout. You can lock in the payout. So even if your equity curve is all over the place, if you distribute your equity curve correctly on a revolving door strategy on 20 accounts, you can lock in payouts and not even be a profitable trader. This is something I would look to exploit if I were you, because we don't know how long prop firms will be around. We don't know how long they'll be around without regulation and the way that they are, where you can really take advantage of it. And we've seen people change their lives, make hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars from prop firms without even having to have a single linear equity curve. You just had to know how to take good trades and manage positions correctly. So this gamification element, although it's a great opportunity, Mark speaks about how that can have detriment to your psychology, because if you're looking to be a trader long term, if you're looking to make a career out of this, and prop firms may only be a small portion of that, because if you've made 500K, you should put that into a personal account, and prop firms isn't your priority anymore. But when you come into that real account, where if you go into 10% drawdown, you can't just throw that account away. You got to get yourself out of that drawdown because it's a live account. The emotions that come with losing real money as opposed to demo money, and the habits you ingrained from prop firm trading of the profit-taking systems, the gambler's mindset, the resets button you can have, they are dangerous. And this wires your subconscious. And this subconscious wiring will naturally lead to beliefs, lead to confirmational biases, lead to exposure points of things you may overlook, lead to behavioral patterns. And all of these things will lead to a butterfly effect in your real trading. And it's maybe not something you consider right now, but in 5 years, it will be something that you'll have to look to address because of the habits and beliefs you've accumulated through prop firms. Because look, you have to play to their rules. You have to play to their don't trade news events. Oh, you can't hold over the weekend. Oh, you have to get a profit target within 30 days. All of these rules will make realities in your mind. And these are all things that you'll have to unpackage one day. So in the episode, which got more than 100,000 views, amongst many of the things we spoke, this idea of being disciplined and the reality of a trader's mindset and the approach that you should really have was what we really explored. And therefore, this came from realistic goals, realistic expectations, realistic behaviors, and therefore prioritizing a profitable edge, a profitable expectancy, because all of your results on a 10-year horizon will always converge towards your expected edge. In the short term, sure, you can gamify prop firms. In the short term, sure, you can get a big payout. In the short term, you can do a lot of things. But in the end, everything converges towards the mean. And the mean will be the profitability edge that you really have. You can't cheat that. You can't lie that. So therefore, you don't want to short term get wins, but mess up your mind along the way. So therefore, in this episode, Mark really helped us instill this idea of long-term thinking, sustainability, the reality of what it takes to be a trader. And this, for me, is a step towards extinguishing the fire that the gurus are spreading on TikTok, on short form of this get-rich-quick scheme. This trading is easy, man. I see these crazy TikToks of people saying, if you make 5% a day in 1 year, from $100, you'd make X. And it's just putting such weird narratives, and I hope a majority of you are beyond that. But there's a lot of content out there that is still misleading. It's masked under looking like good content, but it can be detrimental to your long-term thinking. So that's the way you really need to think. And that was the key lesson from Mark Hutchinson. Okay, next lesson is from Bernd Skupinski. Now, Bernd, what an icon of our generation. The #1 FTMO trader, being the #1 FTMO ranked trader, being on the FTMO leaderboard over 100 times.
When I joined social media and people were like, do you know this? And do you know that? And do you know that strategy? And do you know this person? I was like, no, I don't know anything. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Like, for instance, smart money concepts, ICT. These terms, they only exist in the YouTube bubble. Outside that YouTube bubble, I've never heard about these terms at all.
A real pioneer in the space and someone that's really walking the walk, not just talking it. He's not from the social media sphere. He built his trading credentials first and then appeared online. And I've spent a lot of time with Bernd. Not only have we done podcasts together, we've done some appearances on Rizd's podcast. Man, we've traveled together. In Bali, we spent a lot of time. He came over to my villa. We had some memories and conversations there. In Dubai, we've done dinners. Look, the podcast has been epic because I've met great people like Bernd and built friendships for life. And although we trade rather differently, it's amazing for us to sit down. We've had many conversations, going back and forth on our beliefs and learning from each other, challenging each other. And we are in our own rights have achieved. But it's interesting to have people that are potentially on different perspectives of swing trading versus intra-session trading. Significant focus on fundamentals versus, for me, a significant focus on technicals. And this year, we've both done a lot. I publicly documented 7 months of giving all of my trades live ahead of time. Gave every single entry, stop loss, trade breakdown, analysis, take profit level, everything ahead of time that can't be faked. With some of my tweets getting over 100,000 views, and it says edited if I messed with it. If it deleted it, someone will call me out. This was the Magna Carta project that I did this year. And it was tough. It was hard for me to go through with my neck on the line, the public's perception, and going through and giving 60 signals, 50% gain in front of everyone's eyes. And it was all through inducements, lower time frame, M1, high risk reward, lower time frame trading. And Bernd, on the other hand, did something similar. Not only has he documented his payouts, his prop firm journey, and even my FX book, he's also called the market live on his YouTube videos with a project and a documentary he was doing. So there's no debate that higher time frame or lower time frame, it doesn't matter. Fundamentals or technicals, it doesn't matter. It matters more the in-between. These are just vehicles to get towards your goal, but it's the approaches you have. And me and Bernd see eye to eye in so many ways, despite being almost worlds apart, which was fascinating for me to take a deep dive in this episode and really explore the mind of someone who's achieved greatness in the trading space. And the quotes from the episode that resonated with me most and that stuck with me was and there was many. In Bernd's episode, there was many. And again, getting, I think, more than 200,000 views. It's a mega episode. I love it. Look, Bernd said, the most important KPI is risk reward. It weighs so much more than win-loss ratio. Achieving 2 hours per month on average is a realistic and achievable goal. If you think in dollars all the time, your trading sucks. Think in process-based trading or hours to focus on achieving KPIs rather than running after money. Now, what a message. That statement alone says so much. Because look, you have to be a profitable trader. You have to be restricted and you have to know your data. You have to know your KPIs and you have to know what you're aiming for. And you have to know what's realistic. And the glamorous side of social media can skew all of that. And we spoke about it in the episode. And I remember speaking about on the episode and even on Riz's roundtable, the KPIs, the data, and how the data can influence each other. Look, if I want a very high win rate, I can have an 80% win rate if I wanted to. I'd just be super selective. I'd be patient and I wait for my A+ setups. But what happens? Naturally, your trade frequency comes down because you're waiting for key setups. It's the spinning plate analogy that I've given many times, that you're not just looking to maximize one thing, that your trading system is influenced by everything. If you have a high win rate, naturally you'll have a lower trade frequency because you're selective. So if you want to lower your win rates and increase your trade frequency to therefore play the risk reward game, or you don't take weaker setups, you still take great A+ setups, but you increase the asset class selection. So instead of just trading one currency pair, you trade 20. So therefore you wait for A+ setups across 20 currency pairs and you achieve a high win rate and a high risk reward. There's many ways to do it. And we explored all of these KPI approaches and Bernd's preferred approaches and how exactly he unlocks that for himself in his trading. And in the end, the key is risk reward and ROI, return on investment. Now, risk reward, there's many ways to achieve it. You can achieve it in a session, you can achieve it in a swing trade, but in the end, your risk reward is your buffer. A strong risk reward will compensate for a bad win rate. It will compensate for losing periods. It will compensate for psychology. Because of loss aversion, the perception of a loss, we feel loss more than we feel a win. So if you lose $100, you will feel it more than winning $100. So now it's KPIs that are catering for your psychology. So certain KPIs will drive your psychology, therefore prioritize them. And look, the reality is our psychology influences our trading and our belief systems influence our trading beyond what we can expect, beyond what you may imagine. If you had $100 million to trade and you were competent enough to trade on it, you'd just go for like 0.5% a month and you'd be more than satisfied because of the monetary value of it. But the problem is people get caught up in more gains, more return, better win rate, better risk reward, better, because they don't have enough capital. The Bernd really helped us understand that trading is a game of capital. If you can have a achievable normal win rate, achievable normal risk reward, achievable normal KPIs, and an index for capital, you can really satiate all of your desires and be realistic about it. And therefore it brings longevity and sustainability to it. And he also mentioned that the 2 hour per month, it doesn't mean 2%. Your 2 hours can be what you make it. And so therefore that comes into your risk profiles and your risk approaches. And again, that can be all compensated by capital. What I love about Bernd is that he brings a dose of reality to the industry. Because he is navigating with prop firms, it becomes such a relatable approach. And what an honor that we have, that we can access and learn from and benefit to conversate with someone who has been on the leaderboard of FTMO 100 times, who has made hundreds of thousands of dollars in payouts. Like it's epic stuff. And I'm honored to call him a friend. I'm honored to have conversations with him. And I'm glad we have someone like him in the industry making content. So Bernd, thank you very much for this lesson. And I'd definitely say go watch his episode a few times. times. Next is Umar Ashraf, a trader who has proven himself to profit over $20 million and probably one of the biggest names in the trading space.
I'm a strong believer when you have a strong enough mission, the money shows up. Even if you don't want it to show up, it's gonna come. Imagine you go and you're like, I want to be the best trader that can have an 80% win rate, let's just say, with a 3R multiple, whatever the case is. Imagine you hit that, well, what will happen? You will make money, simple. But if you go and you're like, well, I want to make $10 million, cool. It's not just gonna pop up here.
Now, Umar Ashraf is a goat of the industry. There's no other way to put it. Man, I've watched his content for years. I looked up to him in my come up, in my trading journey. Umar is another guy that I've spent so much time with. You know, when he's living out in Dubai, dinners all the time, going to his office and learning from each other. He helps me in so many ways. He holds me accountable. He pushes me. He pushes me to be a better person in general. Like, it's just epic to have people like this in my circle. And it's the power of the podcast, it's the power of this show that allowed me to have conversations with him. And in general, we have to really think how blessed we are in our journey as traders, where we can have access to people like Umar who have achieved so much in their trading career. Man, there's no one in the industry that can say they log in year on year on a regulated broker, not a Photoshop, not a hindsight, a video logging in on a regulated broker and showing $20 million in profit from trading. That's legendary status. He's big three. He's the Drake of our industry. Like, it's an icon. And again, building TradeZeller, building a industry shaping tool, TradeZeller, pioneering in the space, one of the biggest names in the space. These are once in a generation people, and the fact that we can access him, the fact that we can learn from him, the fact that we can ask him questions and see exactly what he's done in his journey and model his life and see how he carries himself, how he takes care of his family. He's bought his parents a $4 million home. He's bought one sister a Ferrari 812 Superfast. He's bought his other sister a Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. And I'm honored to call him a friend. I'm honored that I can learn from him. And I'm honored that we can bring him to social media. I can bring him on the show and learn from him. So whatever he says, don't take it lightly. If you could learn from Jeff Bezos in his come up, if you could learn from Elon Musk in his come up, I really believe Umar will be the GOAT of our industry, make industry shaping tools, industry shaping content. And yeah, it was an epic podcast that we had. And my key quote that we had from Umar was, the market is always right. As a trader, it's very simple. You have to find an edge and then you have to have a mind so you can follow that edge. But how do you know if you're performing correctly or not? You have to know your data. And TradeZeller is going to show you everything that you need beyond the surface level win rates and performance and equity curve. It's going to show you detailed reports. It's going to be your back testing tool, strategy testing tool, playbooks, notes, and it's going to be a full journal. It makes your journaling easier, faster, and more meaningful. Whereas if you were just documenting it on an Excel spreadsheet or taking screenshots on your iPhone, you wouldn't be able to pull out the data that you need, the correlations that the AI within TradeZeller is pulling out for you. There's so much variety and utility within the software that I think it's essential for any trader. So the link somewhere below is going to take you directly to the TradeZeller website. I'm not getting paid. This is for you. If you want it, if you like it, go ahead and explore it, and probably you'll be using it for years to come. As much as you try and justify that the market is overbought or oversold, it will do what it wants to do. Just because you had a big year last year doesn't mean you'll have another big year this year. The key is to reset and approach each day with the mindset of doing it all over again. Now, this is particularly insightful because he's not just saying that. He's saying that from his experiences of loss, where he's publicly lost a lot of money. He's had a big year of $7 million, and the next year, the first 6 months, not going his way. And again, his own journey from being a young guy, early 20s, having millions of dollars, and how that can really affect your mindset, and how he's matured in his own journey, and how his trading career has matured. And we can all see Umar is a very humble guy, down-to-earth guy, and that's a mirror not only in his day-to-day life, but in his approach to the markets. The market has definitely humbled Umar in ways that we will never experience. Not only public losses, but monetary losses. He's faced all of these things, and that can only humble you. If you've had a year where you've made $7 million in your early 20s, you'll feel like a king. You'll feel like you know it all. Your strategy is the best. But he's realized, don't get complacent. Don't let a winning period fool you. Don't let confirmation or bias change your perception of reality, because that's what a gambler does. The gambler's mindset is, on a roulette wheel, the last 4 were red, so I'm going to put it on red. The market doesn't have a memory. Past events do not dictate future events. As Mark Douglas says best, each moment in the market is unique. They may seem similar, but they are unique. And in the end, the market is the ultimate judge. The market is always going to be right. So no matter what strategy you have, no matter what justification you have, this is our opinions and the market is correct. So all we can do is optimize an index for a positive edge. And we talked about how we can define that positive edge, how you can curate that positive edge. And that's all we have. Risk management, profit-taking systems, and a positive edge and discipline to adhere to it through journaling your performance. And that's identifying, did you adhere to your plan or did you deviate away from your plan? If you deviated, address it. If you adhere to it, then it's just a valid loss. It was a very interesting episode to pick Umar's brain after achieving so much. And there's so many things that I could probably put 10 more bullet points here, especially with the debates we had on risk management profiles, how you should double down on your A+ setups, etc. Very insightful episode, very well received. I think touching 100,000 views. And not only is this lesson mean so much more if you read between the lines, the episode in general. Please do go ahead and watch that again and again. Well, next, it's only right if I speak about Mr. Sourav Siddiqui, a billionaire we had on the show. Mr. Sourav Siddiqui, the CEO and owner of the Siddiqui Group, a huge multinational conglomerate. Mr. Sourav Siddiqui finds himself working in multiple industries all over the world. The biggest project that Mr. Siddiqui is involved with is his power plant project, which is valued in the billions. He is a titan. He is a mogul. He has a conglomerate. He's working in tech, energy, textiles. I can't say the brands, but every single brand you see on the high street, he has contracts with to supply textiles from Bangladesh. He supplies 6% of the energy to Bangladesh through renewable sources, waste management systems. Wow. Like when I met him, I realized billionaires are different. It's not just a case of family. It's not just a case of luck. It's not just a case of work hard. Some people are just wired different and they work on a different level. They operate on a different level. And it was an insane experience for me to pick his brains and have a conversation. And he's built a $4.2 billion empire. And despite achieving so much, he was a family man. And he had such interesting beliefs that I wouldn't have expected from someone on such a level. But look, his key lesson that I took that it was hard for me to pick, but one was no man rules alone. You should delegate. You should make people understand what they are doing. You should hire the most trustworthy person whose nature is good, and then you can train him to become a boss. And look, it's a reflection of he's hired tens of thousands of people. He's interviewed probably so many. And the reality is, to build an empire that big, you have to delegate. You have to rely on team. One man can only do so much. And with the amount of employees he has, it was interesting how we spoke about his hiring process was not based on merit, was not based on qualifications or a CV. It was on the individual. If they were reliable, if they were trustworthy, if they were punctual, these kind of traits which you would pick up on before the interview, how they interacted with the driver, with the receptionist and so forth. Interesting perspective, but look, it's very hard for me to give real tangible advice because he was so far ahead in his life compared to all of us. So a lot of the things were not so relatable or something we can apply tomorrow, but just listening to a man on that level and the energy he's vibrating on and the beliefs he has and the way he carries himself, you learn a lot subconsciously, but you also learn a lot from emulating behavior, on how he treats his family, and how he puts time aside on the weekend, and how focused he is on work time. And of course, you need the basics: strong character, firm beliefs, strong dedication and work ethic. But it's also realizing, if you watch all of the other guests who are millionaires, that are centimillionaires, and then you watch Sourav, who's a billionaire, you can notice it. If I didn't tell you who's the richest in the room, you would notice it. And it's because of the way he speaks and carries himself. I don't know how to fully describe it. You have to go and watch the episode. I think it's one of the least viewed episodes on the show, which again is mind-blowing to me. But look, if you want to hear from a real billionaire in our generation, which there aren't that many on earth, we have one on the show. Now, next, Owen Morton, a man who is touching $1 billion in net worth. They call him the hidden hand behind the market.
You could take everything from me except my knowledge, and I will do it all again. And I don't mind that. That doesn't scare me. I'm happy to do that tomorrow if I have to. But the willingness to do it, a lot of people, they don't have that. They make it, they get good, they make 1 or 2 million, they're like, cool, I'm cushy, that's it. But then put something in front of them, adversity, and they don't have the will to do it again.
And he is a mogul because he's got turnkey solution for pretty much anything in the trading space. Payment processes, CRMs, brokerage, prop firm, anything you can think of. He's got a business in the space. And look, just after filming, he bought a yacht for $20 million. He spent like $1 million on a trip to Dubai. It's just another league. And again, seeing a young man achieve so much, not only is an honor for me to have a conversation, it's also what we can just learn from these kind of people. He was more on the side of entrepreneur. He doesn't go out and claim he's this proficient trader. He's more just an entrepreneur in the trading space. But again, seeing someone operate on such a level, seeing someone that's achieved so much, you'll start to notice the common denominators between all of the successful entrepreneurs and all of the successful traders, they say the same things at times. They have the same beliefs. So if we can start to emulate these kind of traits, these kind of behaviors, these kind of beliefs, we are one step closer to living a life like them. No, Owen is just a legend. Like a guy that's achieved that much is... I don't think there's that many people that have, especially at his age. And the quote from Owen is, "One thing people lack is the willingness to do it again. No matter what happens, I failed many times, but the willingness to start again is crucial. You could take everything away from me except my knowledge, and I'd be happy to do it all over again. The willingness separates those who succeed from those who don't." Look, failure comes to all of us. Even the wealthiest people fail. They just fail with more zeros. The willingness to get back up and do it all over again. This should remind you this idea of resilience, the idea that you should back yourself. You are your biggest asset. As long as you put your head down, work, and be willing to do it all over again. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. It's a powerful message. And it's interesting to see that I've had guests on the show that have achieved a good amount, and another guest, Owen, who has achieved a lot. They have the same beliefs. And this is crucial. Now, another guest on the show, Zain.
When it comes to trading higher time frame, like you said, that could be 1 to 2 weeks worth of price action before it delivers into your POI. One, you can't be waiting that long to execute a position. Two, price doesn't always fill in that inefficiency on the higher time frame. So it's what's in the lower time frame that's quite important, because you can trade to that discount or trade to that premium.
20-year-old, and to be honest, a hidden gem. I wouldn't have imagined the level of conversation that we had had, specifically because of his age. I didn't think he'd have the depth of knowledge or experience, but I was pleasantly surprised, and there was a lot to take away from that. I love the fact that he broke down technicals on an advanced level. I love that he even explained the strategy, even explained the exact checklist and rules of one of his strategies. And a very mature man that has achieved a lot of financial wealth from a young age. And again, it was all down to his beliefs. If you go into his story from a young age, the way he was acting and behaving, whether it was trading or something else, he would have made it work because of his consistency, belief, self-esteem, and behavior. Again, crucial between all guests. Now, I want you to watch this episode because you're going to learn a lot about technicals. And it's a technical deep dive, which is a special experience for a podcast. And the quote I have for you is, "A lot of things can be solved by technical competence. And that's just time in the game, as opposed to what I see traders doing is bouncing from technical strategy to another. Nothing really sticks for them, so they just scapegoat the whole situation and say it must be my psychology." Now, this is an interesting perspective, and I'm firm on it. It's a debate we've had on the show with many guests who are very pro-psychology, and I completely get their perspective. But I'm more on the side with Zain that technicals takes care of a lot of things. Because if you have a strong technical edge, you can just have belief in probability, belief in time that it will play out. And you have to be careful to not build strong habits in your psychology on a flawed strategy, because you'll make it worse for yourself. Because if you're trying to ingrain positive beliefs, positive psychology on a flawed edge, you're going to mess yourself up. So I do believe psychology is important. And two people with an identical edge, the difference in outcome is the psychology. Adherence to a plan is psychology. Going on tilt is psychology. Greed, fear, revenge trading is all psychology. But I'm also a firm believer that you can have bad psychology and correct behavior. You could be going through turmoil in your mind, but if you still follow your checklist and follow your plan, that's what counts. On the other side, if you have great psychology, but you do the wrong behavior, it doesn't matter how good your mindset is, behavior and actions is what count. And technical edge is what will carry you. And more importantly, technical competence will satiate the psychological burdens you have. You will not feel greed as much if you optimize your technicals in a way where you can get gains faster. If you're someone that struggles to sit in drawdown, you can make a technical model to compensate for that. If you're a trader that can't go through a losing period, you can make a technical model for that. So technicals is like a gun with multiple bullets that can take out psychology issues, whereas psychology cannot compensate for technicals. So therefore, I'm in full agreement with Zain. Focus on your technicals, build a proficient base and a positive, proven edge backed by data, and then work on your psychology on top with two objectives. Am I following my plan, and am I performing accordingly to my plan? Following my plan is simply a case of, should I have taken that trade, yes or no? Should I have risk managed accordingly, yes or no? Should I have taken partials the way I did, yes or no? So that's very checklist orientated. The other thing is, did I follow my plan in the sense of this trade, did it fit my plan? Or was it a revenge trade? So a lot of the times we take losses and we get angry, but we realize it's part of the plan, is factored in. It's within our data. In that case, no matter our emotions, we accept it and move on. The other thing is taking a loss that you shouldn't have taken, and therefore that's adherence to your plan. So you have to look into the psychology of why you did that. So the psychology of taking a valid loss is very easy to overcome because your technicals will, over time, show you profitability. Your mind will be at peace. However, adhering to a plan, even the best of traders can deviate. They can go away from performance. That can be internal factors, greed, because they want to make more money, fear, because you maybe want to prove it to your parents, or just in general, external factors. You're going through a divorce, you're going through hardship in your life, and it affects your performance. So psychology on performance is real, and everyone has to focus on that. But psychology on valid losses, well, that's something that's easily resolved if your technicals are in place. Now, this PDF has so much that I really need you to download it and go through it because there's so many things and I can't cover them all. Really gems, and I'm so glad for this platform that we've had so many great conversations and so many great lessons, and I want to make more resources like this that I'm just going to give to you guys because it's epic how much we can learn from these podcasts if we listen to it intentionally. Pasquale, over $2.5 million in prop firm payouts, but beyond all of that, he's really understood the opportunity and the strategy of maximizing withdrawals from prop firms.
With prop firms, it's difficult because the industry is very young. There's a lot of noise in the industry.
Another gentleman that made a lot of money from prop firms, $2.5 million to be exact. He was a fundamentals trader and an intraday trader, which was particularly interesting to me because I always thought fundamentals traders were more swing traders. Regardless, his approach was amazing. He's a very mature man. He's very intentional with his beliefs and a lot of wisdom in his episode. But look, the key lesson here is the biggest thing is the psychological approach you have. Usually the first years are a struggle, and if you go through the pain, you understand how you should tackle it. Over trading and all that kind of stuff, and eliminating is how you become a better trader. In my opinion, a system itself, a trading system, only makes about 10 to 20% of the trader. The rest is just mental. So it's cool to hear the other side of the spectrum, which is how important psychology is. And the key is also time. How long it can really take, the struggle. No one had an overnight journey. Everyone took years and years to hit their goals, and how going through hardship shapes you. Going through losses shapes you. Going through stress shapes you. Going through losing accounts shapes you. In fact, all of the attributes we seek is on the other side of sacrifice and the hardship of going through it. If you want to be calm, not have anger to a loss or revenge trade, you have to go through losses and deal with it. If you want to be not an anxious trader, you have to be going through anxious periods in your trading. So I love this approach and lesson from Pasquale, and also his breakdowns on the importance of psychology, not from the fluff of social media, but from a real perspective. So once more, this is a huge resource going through every single guest. So many lessons, so many nuggets in here from literally titans of industry, people that have achieved a lot and people that I look up to, people that you look up to and watch their content. And it's amazing that we could pick their brains and have their key lessons. So please do go ahead, download the resource. It's for you. We made this. I put time and effort into it. It's 50 pages. It felt like a university thesis, and we did it for you. It's a free resource. I don't want anything from you but to take action on it and really go ahead and watch all of these episodes again, because there are so many lessons from such amazing individuals. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of you that watch. Thank you to every single guest that gave me the opportunity to host them and pick their brains. And I was very lucky because episode 1, 100K views, episode 2, 100K views, episode 3, 200K views. Like, that doesn't happen. And I was very fortunate with the collaborations I had, the people supporting and helping me. But nonetheless, whether it took 1 year or 1 month, I knew I'd get there in the end. And I remember the videos I've made in the past. It's so cool for me. And if you're a big follower of my content and you know the things I talk about, today is a full circle moment. I've talked about the stages of life and the vehicles you should have in your career, where you should follow practicality first. Don't worry about having a $100 million exit if you've never made 10K before. So I talk about the vehicles to make your first 10K, the vehicles to make your first 100, the vehicles to make your first million, 10 million, then 100 million, and how you should go from time for money to compensated for your time, therefore performance, to leveraged activity, for example, personal brand, for example, trading. Time for money is just a normal job. The second one is performance, let's say sales, let's say lead generation. The next one is leverage, therefore trading, because the same trade today, that might make me $100. If I have a bigger account size, that can make me $100,000. Same trade, it's just percentages. And then later you go to cash flow business, where you leverage a team, you leverage all the elements of a company. That can be marketing, brand, sales, fulfillment and delivery, different types of lead generation. There's so many things you can leverage, and that's a cash flow business. And then you can take it to a void of a business that is cash intensive, but then can go for a big exit. And I've spoken about these things. And that's what I've been doing in my own life. And let's skip all of that let's leave that for another time. But the show was an example of, I'd already done the first few steps. I'd already achieved certain milestones in my life financially. I'd already done multiple 7 figures. I'd already done the leverage activity, which was trading. And I wanted to build a brand, because if you listen to Naval Ravikant, he's got one of the best podcasts on earth. One of the best podcasts. And if you go find that episode, he talks about the power of code, personal brand, and therefore leveraged activities. And I thought, I need to do this. So I went in on myself. I bet on myself. 2 years ago, I wasn't really on social media. 3 years ago, I wasn't on social media. I started a year ago, and I've spoken about why I started and how I started, and the yacht event I did, and seeing 20-year-olds around me that were younger than me, that didn't know as much about me in trading, didn't know much about, without pride, but they'd won the game. They were doing better than me in terms of personal brand, and I was too arrogant to it. I was like, I don't need it. And that put a fire inside of me. I thought, let me do something. Let me go all in on this. Let me put money, time, effort, team, resources behind it and see what happens. And to take away from that, you have to do the same. There's so many lessons in what I'm just saying in terms of paying your dues and then getting the reward, delayed gratification, betting on yourself, how doors can unlock in crazy ways when you just put your head down and work, and how life comes at you in crazy ways, how your expectations can be blown and things can grow faster than you'd ever imagine. It's exciting, and I want all of you to feel this one day. I want all of you to be sat and reflecting on what a journey it's been, the people I've met, the things I've achieved, the money I've made, the life and fulfillment I can have, the impact I can have. Before, if I was a dentist, I could only help 20 people a day through, treatments. Now I do a video and we reach millions of people. That's impact on the highest form in terms of leverage. There's so many things that have come from these projects, but I had to be someone that was ready to do that. If I started a podcast 5 years ago, I don't think it would ever have worked. I wasn't a man that had achieved enough to therefore know what kind of questions to ask a billionaire that I've had on the show, the entrepreneur of the year in Dubai, the CEO of the year, people that have made over $100 million. I have to sit in the room and ask them questions and not look like a kid. So I have to have my own experiences, my own traumas, my own lessons, my own struggles to therefore relate to what they've had. I had to be experienced enough to manage a team, which I have previously done, to therefore bring a media team together for these projects of social media. There's so many elements that I had to prepare for in my life. I've read hundreds of books. I've genuinely listened to thousands of podcasts in my life. And again, my university education with the lectures I've been to and the theses I've written and the thick textbooks I've read, all of that was me collecting data. All of that was me getting knowledge. And maybe some of it wasn't useful, but what they say is you read a book, and the reward of that book doesn't come the next day, but maybe in a few years. And not only does it mean like, oh, you now have something in your life and you refer back to it and say, oh yeah, now that makes sense. That's one thing, but it's more paradigm shifts. And paradigm shifts is one of the most important skills that no one speaks about, and it's not something you can buy. A paradigm shift is something you get through no shortcuts. Like you go to the gym, and I'm not the best at that, but you go to the gym and you can't cheat it. You have to eat the food and you have to consistently go to the gym to have the physique you want. Okay, you can take anabolics. And in fact, I had a guest on who was a big IFBB pro bodybuilder who's openly taking anabolics. That's a shortcut. But he will tell you that you still have to put in the work no matter what. And a paradigm shift is exactly like that. There's no shortcut. You have to put in the work. Money can't buy it. A mentor can't give it to you. Paradigm shift is you consume so much content because all we are as humans is our inputs synthesize our outputs. Our inputs shape our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and therefore behaviors, our outputs. So if you're constantly consuming TikTok, reality TV, gossip, Kardashians, and then your conversations are always with people that are just not ambitious, the people that are just focused on sleeping around and partying, and then your family is not supportive of you, and your environment is a depressing environment. So all of your inputs from every avenue, from what you consume to the conversations you have, to what you watch, to what you listen to the music you consume about drugs and rapping and money and hoes, this is going to shape a real paradigm in your mind, because it's going to shape your aspirations subconsciously. It's going to shape your belief systems. It's going to shape your limiting beliefs. It's going to shape your self-identity, self-worth, your habits. You have to look into how that is wired. And now if you scrap all of that and you change your environment, you move to a city like Dubai, you have conversations with the people that are doing better than you. You consume only podcasts and books of high-level people. Your friendships are people that are bringing you up. Your limiting beliefs will change. Your your thoughts will change, your beliefs will change, and all these books and content and podcasts will shape your language, will shape your thought perception. Two people can receive the same piece of knowledge and react completely differently, because for one person it lands on deaf ears, or maybe it's just not applicable, maybe they just don't understand what the key message is in there. The other person can fully relate, fully understand, and go and apply it and go ahead and have a light bulb moment. That is the power of a paradigm shift. And for me to have years under my belt of doing all of these things, consuming and shaping my mind and shaping my beliefs, it goes unnoticed. And as I said earlier, people always root for the people that don't need rooting for. So if you're someone right now who is doing all of these things that you hear Hamza, Andrew Tate, Iman, and all these people talk about all of these things that you should be doing, and you're working hard and you're consistent, you're going to the gym, you're eating clean, you're working every day, you're doing everything you're supposed to, but you've got no results to show for it. Yeah, because it's delayed gratification. These will come, but they'll come in ways you don't expect. But the key is time. It's lagging. So in that period where you're not getting the reward, the recognition you deserve, those are the years that will shape your future. And for me, this show is a testament of that. All of the things I did in my high school, university days built me to a point where I could not only become a trader and everything I've done in that domain, but someone that can network with such individuals that I've had on the show and grow Titans of Tomorrow into a brand, grow Titans of Tomorrow into a resource that I think a lot of you utilize and value, because you can learn from it for free and learn from trailblazers, industry leaders, pioneers, people that are hyper successful. And this is a luxury that I'm proud of, because just 100 years ago, you would be lucky to find one millionaire in your hometown, maybe your uncle's friend or something. Now at our fingertips, we can access millionaires and billionaires and hyper successful individuals, and we can listen to them and learn from them, and we can ask them specific questions on how we can emulate that. I remember when I was younger, I felt the effect of not having money, and I remember that feeling so vividly. And again, nothing to take away from my family. My family is the best. My parents have supported me, and I wouldn't change a thing. And I am who I am because of the way I was raised and the things my father and mother did for me. But naturally, I come from a normal family. So when I'm a university student, I'm broke like any university student. My father put me through university, paid for everything, and gave me that advantage in life. And that's a blessing that has shaped me. But the reality is I was a student. And a student that doesn't have money will feel it. And I remember those feelings. The feelings of, I wish I could take a cab to uni because I'm running late, but I can't afford a cab, so I'm going to have to take the bus. And walking in the rain to the bus stop before the sun has come up and it's pouring it down and you're half asleep, you're semi-depressed. You take the bus, you go to lectures, and it's the end of the month, so you're low on your budget, so you can't even afford the canteen food, so you have to wait to go home to just maybe have a canned tuna and rice. That was my reality. And being a young, ambitious, insecure, not experienced person, well, effectively a child at that point I was, just how personal drive, consistency, and the power of the internet, the power of content, the power of resources that we have, podcasts, books, YouTube videos, that genuinely made me. Otherwise, my life path was academic, excel and do well in the school system, get good grades at university, and go get a good job as a dentist. But my life changed because of content, because of podcasts, books, and YouTube videos. Everything I've learned is because of the internet, not because of my lectures. Even my degree, I learned everything in my degree was not from my lectures and textbooks. I would just watch YouTube videos. If there was a certain anatomy I couldn't figure out, the innovation of the trigeminal nerve and the path it goes through, the different fossas and how they interact with blood vessels and all of this, I couldn't get my head around it. And the textbook, I couldn't get around it. So I downloaded an app that was a 3D model where you could just move it with the pencil. This iPad, I could move it with the pencil and look at everything, and then I'll watch YouTube videos. That's how I learned. And that's how I learned everything. And the internet therefore raised me. I want to say that it shaped my paradigms. It shaped the way I speak, the way I think, the way I believe, the ambitions I have. And of course, there's negatives to it. It can make you insecure. It can make you jealous. It can make you feel like you're not good enough. It can make you feel like the social media glamorization of, okay, I need a Lambo and lifestyle. Okay, there's pitfalls to it. But if you use it correctly, wow, it's life-changing. So it led me to this thought where, as a student and you have no money, and I'm sure many of you are in that situation or can relate to that situation, we are not really aware of how grateful we should be. And again, everyone says, oh, but think of the children in Africa that are starving. At least you have the internet and a phone. And again, that's true, but it's hard to fully conceptualize that if all you do is look at social media at guys with Lambos. And even in the Quran, if you're a Muslim, it's told to us that You should not look at people above you. You should look at people below you, because contentment and fulfillment is not based on your real life circumstance. It's based on how you perceive things. So that's why you get people, when I travel to third world countries and I see people that are living very humbly, basically in poverty, and if you put someone from the West and you swap lives with them, that person would be horrified and mortified at the cockroaches and the dirt and the filth, whatever. They would just be mortified. But these guys living that life, they are genuinely happy. They are happy with their friendships, family, and the nature, the beauty they have. They find respite in what they have in their reality. Why is that? It's for two reasons: what they look at and what they expect from life. But then when you have something that is like you miss a flight, and that was not an expected occurrence. It's not a good thing. Just like raining is not the best thing, but you didn't expect it, and that can throw people on tilt. That can throw you into a spiral of emotions by missing a flight. I remember I had an experience where I was flying from Madrid to the UK. I went to university in Madrid, so I was flying home for Christmas, and the flight got delayed and then cancelled. And I remember I was with two friends, and both of them were fuming when it was delayed, and when the flight was cancelled, one of them broke down into tears. And I remember at that point, I didn't say anything, but I remember thinking to myself, and the thought I had was, I'm sitting in a plane, it's delayed, and now the flight is cancelled. I don't know how I'm going to get back. I don't know what the plan is, but I was unfazed. And I remember there's a few moments in my life where I'm like, that's a sign that I'm different. And I like that, because I'm in control of my emotion. I'm not panicking and screaming at the staff, and I'm just like, I accept the situation. This is what it is. It was out of my control. So why are my emotions going to take hold of me of a situation I had no hold of? I accept my fate and I react to what I can do next, the next move on the chessboard. And I had that from a young age. But fulfillment and happiness comes from these things. If you expect to live a life of grandiose, if you expect a life of luxuries and experiences and private jets and Lambos and all of these things, then, but your reality is you're just a student, that gap, that delta is the delta of depression. But if you are a university student and you expect it, you're like, this is my life, I'm good with it, what more can I ask for? And you're not always envious of people looking up, you're looking below, and you're saying, I'm so lucky I got into university. I'm so lucky my family can afford to send me to university. I'm so lucky I can live in a country where there is universities worthwhile going to. I'm so lucky I can take a bus and not have to walk without shoes on. If you're looking at that lens of people below you, it'll always put you in a perspective of real gratitude and fulfillment, because of your perception of what life should be, your expectations, and also what you relate to. If you're always looking at people above you, you'll always be envious and ungrateful. If you're always looking at people below you, you'll always be grateful for the blessings you have. So the lesson within there is the quality of life we all have right now is better, no matter if you're in debt, no matter if you're struggling right now, no matter if you're a student and your life has not come together, no matter what stage you are at, your quality of life right now is better than the richest man on earth generations back. It just depends how far back you want to go. If you go back to the quality of life of the Egyptian pharaohs who had gold and had thousands and thousands of slaves and, was living the most grandiose life back then. He was the wealthiest man on earth back then. Now a regular person today has a better quality of life because they have running water, they have electricity, they can take a hot shower, they can access the internet, they have a phone. I will take that life over the Egyptian pharaoh. So you just got to put that into perspective. And it's a thought I had which was so sick, which I thought was such a nice paradigm shift, to always frame yourself into gratefulness of, my life today is better than the wealthiest man on earth not too long ago. So what can I do with my life therefore? Because that guy would have paid his full net worth to live the life we have today. Isn't that something? So I want you to use my life and everything that I've been lucky to achieve, and I want you to use it as not only as a form of maybe aspiration and maybe the lessons in there, but I want you to look into in between the lines of how every guest I've had on the show was just like you, how I was just like you, and we changed our lives beyond what the ordinary paths are, let's say the Matrix. And every single one of you can do it too. And I'm excited about that idea. I'm excited about this feeling of like, man, I've landed on something that's shaped my life, changed my life, and I wanna give that feeling, and it's real. Like, don't be a skeptic. Don't be someone that thinks, oh, this isn't for me, or my life is not like this. There's always these guys that on social media that make it, but that's not my life. Remove that thought. Is every single one of you can get there, and it's just the lessons of model what we've done, what we've all done, and just look at the idea of how phases unfold, how you work on yourself. You go into isolation and you work on yourself, and it doesn't have to be that long. 2-3 years can change everything. And then when you've shaped yourself and then you go out, you meet people, ideas come, networking grows, you leave your hometown. You have paradigm shifts, you consume so much good content, you have great conversations, and your thoughts manifest into different behaviors, and 1 year, 2 years changes everything. And it's all in your control. I want you to feel that power that you have in your hand. The potential power is liberating because you can shape any reality. Believe me. Not too long ago, I didn't think I would ever have. Believe me, this is going to sound crazy, but just believe me. I never thought I'd have $100,000 watch. I never thought that. Now I have like 7 of them that are more than $100,000. I never thought I'd sit on a private jet, and I didn't care about it. I'm going to do that. I never thought I'd have a supercar. Maybe I thought I'd have a nice Mercedes or, a nice BMW, but a supercar I thought I'd never have. Living in Dubai, man, it's so crazy. I came on a gap year. Between my high school and university, I took a year out to work on myself, to do a lot of things that I never thought I'd be able to do, that I thought I'd never be able to do when I was in a job, because I didn't think my life would pan out in such a way. So I took a year out against my parents' advice, let's say, and it was also circumstantial, but I just wanted to learn, I wanted to read, and I wanted to study, and I wanted to travel. And I knew I'd be on the treadmill of life at university exams and then job and So I thought, let me take a year. And again, I could talk about that year for a long time, but part of that journey is I was going to Australia and Southeast Asia, Thailand and so forth. And I stopped off at Dubai for 3 days. And I remember walking around thinking, this is insane. How do people live a life like this? I was seeing the yachts and the supercars. And I remember taking selfies with the friend I was with across Dubai. And in one of the selfies, man, I get chills. One of the selfies, I was sitting in a Shake Shack and I took a selfie. And in that selfie, behind me, was the building I live in. And I never would have thought when I was taking that selfie that I would be living in the city. That's how far away these things were for me. Because I was just regular. My life was supposed to be regular. And that was 2014, a decade ago. It was just 10 years ago. Okay, just 10 years. But how fast life can change and how much life can change. So any limiting belief you hold, get rid of it, because every guest on the show we've had has done something extraordinary, and they were ordinary people. The mantras and the goals and the philosophy of this show, when I first set out a year ago and I was making the promotional clips and I was saying how I want to change people's lives, how I want to be curious, I want to bring value, I want to bring these paradigm shifts, because I was a consumer of podcasts and that changed my life. So I want to now be part of that for other people. I want to, and you see me do this. Like, some people may have thought, oh, it's just a marketing thing, or he's just saying that to sound good. Man, believe me when I say, like, I do everything to bring value. I bring content for my younger self, and that excites me. On Twitter, I repost all the time people that get funded and their certificate and the payouts people get. And there's like 10 people that I can just list their names. Hamza is one of them, a 17-year-old, but there's 10 names that I have in my head, and there's a bunch of names more of certificates and payouts. Hamza is a 17-year-old from Morocco who made $10,000 payout, never paid me a penny. He just watched the YouTube videos, watched the podcast, and followed my educational pieces on Twitter. Isn't that just the best? Isn't that just sick? Like, there's a guy in Morocco who made $10,000, and the average salary in Morocco, imagine what that is. And there've been so many people that have got funded in their trading career because of my YouTube videos, never paid me a penny. There's so many people that have probably learned from this podcast and made progress in their journey, learning from the guests. There's so many people that have change their beliefs on risk management, change their beliefs on lower time frame, technical analysis, the way to approach, the way you should approach profit-taking systems. I passionately speak about these things that no one speaks about. The spinning plates analogy you've heard me speak about like 50 times on different episodes. I'm a firm believer of that, because that's what shaped me, how you should interact your win rate with trade frequency, with risk to reward, because people just optimize for risk to reward or just optimize for win rate. But there's so many levels deeper that I unlocked 8 years of trading. Just my take profit system protocol that I had, where I used to be subjective based on price action, based on my targets of liquidity pools or market structure. I'll take profit like that. Then I went to a data-driven fixed approach, 1 to 3, 1 to 10, fixed partials. And it might seem suboptimal trade to trade, but on a long-term basis, it's a game changer. Now there is literally thousands of people across the world that do my profit-taking systems that follow my win rate to trade frequency balance, or how all your setups should be categorized, how you should have a confluence hierarchy, how you should have trade models, and you should know the data of all of these trade models and lower time frame confirmations. And it gets me pumped. It gets me pumped to see that this, man, I've been doing videos for a year, and to see thousands of traders improve, thousands of traders learn, thousands of traders implement words that I came up with. You know, it's the sickest thing. People saying to me in my DMs or commenting, a restricted trader is a profitable trader. And the mantras that I come up with, telling me the risk management strategies I taught, it's epic, man. So believe me when I say, I did these projects not to make money. Trust me, the YouTube revenue that people think YouTubers make, my payroll for this show, just the title of tomorrow's show, is more than $10,000 in salaries for the editors and thumbnail guys and the producer and everything. My AdSense is like 700 to 1K a month. It doesn't even pay for one salary. Okay, now I've got sponsors, so that breaks even the costs thereabouts. But this was not a money project. This is the sickest project because I get to share the things I've learned and the life I've created for myself. And I know that there's someone out there that was just like me that will in 10 years be doing something similar. Because I was listening to podcasts, I was consuming the books, I was learning from the internet, I was trying to find courses on Telegram, I was trying to learn things from YouTube videos. I was just there. We're in a day and age where you can literally do anything. You can access anyone. You can learn anything. You could do anything. You don't have to just get a regular job if you don't want to. If you want to be worth $1 million, trust me, you can do it in a year. Trust me. You can make $10 million in a year. I haven't done that one just yet, but there's so much you can do, man. Man, just 100 years ago, it was absurd for an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old to have employees, 10 employees. Now that's like so many people. It was so absurd for a 20-year-old to be a millionaire. Now there are so many. Because that level of wealth was so inaccessible and it took a whole lifetime to get that wealth. Now we can learn from people that have made $1 billion and have 1,000 employees. Man, if you're not excited about life, if you're not excited about what you can do, if you're not excited about your own potential and how you can shape everything you want to achieve beyond what you can imagine, that should excite you. Forget what your friends are thinking and doing. Forget what your parents maybe are pushing towards. They push you from a place of love, but they don't understand probably what this generation can do, what social media, the internet, podcasts, books can unlock. And look, the common denominators to achieve all of these things, the common denominators are the same. Every guest I've had on the show says the same things. The cliche things are the true things. Work hard. Stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay focused. Ignore the people that are distracting you. Delay gratification, routine, mindset. These are things that you don't need another person to tell you. You already know these things. The difference in every guest is they heard it and took action. The difference between Hamza, the guy I just mentioned who made $10,000 payout, and all the other people that have made payouts just from free videos that I've put online, and those millions of people that have watched it, but not made that money, the difference is what? It's action, it's behavior, it's the routines you have day to day, it's the private victories you have. Your job as an individual, your responsibility to your future self is stacking your private victories. Those private victories are simple. You already know what it is. You already know the work you need to do. The magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding. That's all that needs to be said. And I know you don't know me, and I don't know you. We've never met, and maybe one day we will. But what I want you to realize is today I'm celebrating. It's not often that I do. But today I'm reflecting. I'm celebrating. I'm proud of myself. And I'm looking back at how I was just like you and how trading changed my life. And my previous younger self, I thank him. I'm glad for the pain he went through and the stuff he had to do that people didn't understand and friends didn't understand, and the late nights and everything that I went through not only shaped me. I'm glad, I'm happy, I'm thankful to him. I can sit today now on a podcast in front of people and say these things because of my younger self. And I like that frame. I like to think like that. I like to think that there's previous me who shaped me today, and therefore current me will shape future me. And I want future me to look back at today and say, hey, Waqar, thank you for what you did back then in 2024. I'm glad you did that. And everything we look for if you want to be a powerful individual, if you want to be a successful individual, if you want to be a calm, stoic person, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be someone that can sustain a high stress threshold, all of these attributes you desire, which you can all shape, it's like maxing out someone on a video game. It's maxing out a player. You can max out all of the stats: family, wealth, relationships, health, network, experiences. You can max all of them out, but they will always be on the other side of the habits and things I just spoke, which every guest has spoke about, and on the opposite of that attribute. If you want to have high stress tolerance, you got to go through a lot of stress. If you want to be someone that's calm under pressure, you got to feel a lot of pressure through your life. If you want to be someone that cannot react in anger, you got to be tested in anger. If you want to be someone that's resilient, you got to be tested. If you want to be someone that is successful, you got to go through sacrifice and periods of eating and not being successful. If you're going through those phases right now, where you're struggling, where you're tired, where you're stressed, where you're anxious, where life doesn't make sense to you, trust me, that's everyone. Everyone, me included, all the guests that I've had previously included. The only thing is we stuck at it. And now we can sit at the top of the mountain. Yes, there's a bit of survivorship bias in there, but we can stand at the top of our little mountain that we've created and say, I have achieved these things because of what I did, the beliefs I had, and the people around me that supported me. It's all in your hands. It's all in my hands. It's all in our hands. I hope one day you experience the sweetness of achieving what you set out to achieve. I hope one day you feel the sweetness of achieving things you would never have even thought of. I hope one day you are standing at the top of your mountain and proud of the person you've become as a mirror and reflection of what you had to go through. And all of the hard times you're going through maybe right now are going to lead to your success story feeling even better. That sweetness tasting even better. Your life is in your control, and life compounds. Life is not linear. Life is exponential. Everything you're doing, if you're doing correct steps, they all compound on top of each other. The conversations you have, the books you read, the podcasts you consume, and the lessons you learn along your own journey will manifest into crazy things, manifest in ways you would never imagine. The conversations you'll have in 5 years, you'll never imagine sitting at a table having those conversations. And when you're there, you'll pinch yourself and like, wow, life has come far. Life is exciting. Life is like a video game. You can max out your stats and make a real life video game. You don't need to play dopamine addicted video games. You can just shape yourself and be proud of yourself. That's the best feeling. It's the best feeling to provide for the people you love, to show the world what you achieve, the self-pride you can have of who you become in the journey and the things you can access and achieve and the experiences you can share with your loved ones. Life is all worth it. And if you're ever in doubt, sit back on this podcast and hear my voice, hear the excitement I have in my voice. Hopefully it's coming across. The energy that I have, which I never sit and reflect on, but today I decided to celebrate not only 1 year of Titans of Tomorrow, but looking back at a bit of my life. It is all worth it. And you'll be grateful that it was hard. You don't want it to be easy, because if it's hard, it means other people can't access it. And if it's hard, it means you became someone epic to go through those hardships, and you'll be proud of that person. So hey, always think, previous you and the actions he took and the things he did shaped you today. Your life today is an accumulation of the habits and thoughts and beliefs you had a year ago. If you want the future you to be grateful for you, if you want future you to be a legend, start preparing today, because future you will be grateful for the action you took today. Ladies and gents, it's been epic. 1 year of Titans of Tomorrow. A lot of the goals I had at the beginning, we have been fortunate to hit them, and it's down to you. It's down to you watching every week, supporting me, bringing a subscriber count, bringing a viewership that other guests are willing to come on, accessing better and better names, more and more successful people. This show is going to be huge, and it's down to you guys. My responsibility, my desire with the show is to bring value to you guys, because shows like this changed my life genuinely. It helped me access information. It unlocked my limiting beliefs. It gave me paradigm shifts to curate a life that I'm proud of and a person I'm proud of. And I want this show to be a small part in your journey, to unlock the same things that shows like this did for me. So ladies and gents, thank you for following me on this journey, and let's see 1 year from now what kind of lessons we have, what kind of things we have achieved, And I want you to then take this 1 year ahead now for our 2-year anniversary. When we sit down and speak again, I want you to be in a better spot. I want you to be feeling grateful for your previous self. I want you to be thankful for the things you did. And I want you to be excited about life in the same way. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you very much for giving me a platform. And let's see where we can take it. Take care, everyone.